All right, from Kurt. Mr. Klavan, leftist culture and mainstream media always state that fascism and the Nazis are a product of the far right. After watching Dinesh D'Souza's movie Death of a Nation, I'm now questioning this. Mr. D'Souza presented compelling information that these two were a product of the far left. He was basically saying it was the combination of progressive and nationalism, with Nazis also adding racism. He was also stating that the alt-right has more in common with the left than the right. What is your opinion on this? Okay, well, an excellent book to read about this, by the way, is Jonah Goldberg's Liberal Fascism. He goes through the entire history of it. It's a little murky. I love Dinesh. He's a great guy, makes really fascinating movies and writes really fascinating books. But I sometimes think he pushes this argument a little bit too far. Hitler was a man of the left. I think that is fair to say. But Nazism, with its intense nationalism, which in Europe is usually associated with being a conservative, with being right-wing, Hitler with his nationalism was kind of a hodgepodge. He was also a psychopath. He was an evil psychopath. And so that doesn't really have a party. Believe me, nothing will protect you if you are an evil psychopath. You can be an evil psychopath on the left. You can be an evil psychopath on the right. But here is the thing. The categories in Europe are different from the categories here. And that's why when you read a newspaper and it says far-right party in Britain or far-right party in France, it's different. Why? Because they don't have a constitution that they are trying to conserve. When we say here that we are conservatives, we are trying to conserve the Constitution. When we want a constitutional literalist on the Supreme Court bench, it's because we're trying to conserve the rights of man. That has never been a conservative point on the far right, certainly in Europe, on the far right, nationalism, blood and soil. I get this all the time, by the way, from people on the right here, and I guess it's the alt-right, where I'll say America is an idea. America is a creed. That's what the founders believed. America is a creed. It is something you can ascribe to. You can subscribe to the idea that all men are created equal, that we have rights given to us from God, that the government is there to protect our rights. That is, as far as I'm concerned, what we are trying to conserve as American conservatives. Has nothing to do with blood, has nothing to do with soil. It happens to be here on America. What would you be if you didn't love your native land? You would be some kind of empty shell of a human being. What would you be if you didn't love your native land? But having said that, yes, nationalism can go too far. So my point about Hitler is Hitler grows out of several trends in European history. The anti-Semitism, which was a absolute embedded idea in Europe. The nationalism, again, not particularly a left-wing idea, but they were National Socialists. They were fighting the communists, but they were National Socialists. Hitler was a man of the left. All that means is when the left immediately calls you Hitler, you can strike back by saying, hey, Hitler was a socialist, okay? If you want to get into that level of argument, that's what it is. But if you want to look at it a little bit more deeply, it's a little murkier than that.